Mubaid, Chief Operating Officer for NAP member The Net Group, that specializes in express, e-commerce, and other logistics services in the MENA region. NetCritical provides time-critical services in pharma logistics, specializes in cold chain management, handling time-critical transportation, temperature-controlled storage and distribution, specialized packaging, and custom brokerage services. Mr. Solomon Kai, founder and president, Global Link China Logistics Group, leading freight and logistics group comprised of companies from the sectors of international freight forwarding, air freight master loading, airline GSSA and BSA services, e-commerce, express, and transport insurance services. Global Link China is a founding partner of NAP since its foundation 4 years ago, and platinum sponsor of this event. And if you missed yesterday's presentation by Solomon, it was brilliant. Mr. Clifford Zhang, General Manager for Vaccine Transportation for Global Link China, China Logistics, and also Ms. Becky Yang, Overseas Manager, Global Link China Logistics. Also, Ms. Sona Malhotra, Project and Agency Development Department Manager for from NAP member Leo Global Logistics, a leading exporter with the ASEAN countries, accounting for around 2/3 of GDP, with a strong market in automotive machinery and telecom in Thailand. All companies are involved in the handling, storage, and transportation of pharma and vaccines in the region, and will share with us their insights, the opportunities, and their challenges. Short note, if you come up with questions on the second part of this session, we will answer them. Please write them in the Q&A section down below this window, and Yelena will be asking our panelists to answer. And so you would know, we are recording the webinars, and they are live streamed for our YouTube channel. And we will be sending all presentations and all recordings in a post NAP On Air event summary newsletter. So I would like to welcome Celine to take over now for her presentation. Hello, Celine.
Hello. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning to everyone. Can you hear me all okay?
Yes, perfectly.
So let me start by sharing my screen. Should be now okay in slideshow, right? Okay. So my name is Céline Roncade, and I'm the Transition Director of TIACA. TIACA is the International Air Cargo Association, and we are pleased to have welcomed all the NAP members as part of TIACA as of last November month. So yesterday we had the first session as part of this conference. We had a session with Kenneth, who introduced really what TIACA is and what the value it can bring to you guys. Today, Christos asked me to give some updates on the vaccines, which I believe it's quite high on everybody's mind and agenda, and no doubt it's going to be really high top priority on cargo agenda in 2021. What you have on the screen is just a quick search I did yesterday night, just to show that it's everywhere. It's not only on the specialized magazines that we are talking about the logistics of vaccines. It's not in one one part of the world. It's really across the entire planet, and it's the hot topic, or very cold topic, if I may say. It's the hot topic for this year. But actually, last year, as a logistics industry and the air cargo industry, we had to face many unknowns. And something that we can say is when we started the year last year, most of us and most of you guys, I bet, were not as knowledgeable and experts in the transportation of vaccines. We had a tremendous, learning curve the past few months because we had no choice to learn. And when it all started, and when we realized that this COVID pandemic would need to have vaccines for the entire planet, we also realized that it's lots of question marks and unknowns impacting the logistics. So that was the starting point of this project Sunrays. Sunrays because we wanted to shine a light on the vaccines transport requirement and also on the air freight readiness. And it started last summer, where we knew there was a race from the pharmaceutical companies to develop vaccines. We knew it was well, waited for by everyone in the world, with a lot of pressure and a lot of money also thrown into that to get it done. But we knew also that we didn't know many things in terms of the requirements of the vaccines, the condition for transport, the volumes, where it will be produced, where it's going to go, and all of that has impacts on the logistics. So what happened is last summer, we decided, TIACA and Pharma.aero, we decided, I just went a bit too quick. So Pharma.aero and TIACA, two international associations, two bodies that are working in the air cargo sphere, but one that is really representing and uniting the entire global air cargo industry, TIACA, and Pharma.aero that is really looking at pharmaceutical logistics. We joined forces last year to say we can surely do something for our members and for the industry to help them, getting that more visibility on what's going on and to get ready. So what we did last year with our partner Pharma.aero, we had a consultant that is really specialized in the logistics in the pharmaceutical world, Bert Elson from 4Advice. And we mandated Bert to have regular engagement with the pharmaceutical shippers and to try really to collect this type of information. You could argue that there was many information available on the web, but what mattered to us was to have the right information, the one that is verified for the members to have really high-level type of data that they can really trust. So Bert did regular interviews, one-to-one interviews with those pharmaceutical companies to understand where they were with the development of their vaccines, what type of vaccines, what type of requirements in terms of logistics they will have. He also got, what they truly want from the logistics providers, and what they truly want. It's not a surprise. It's what every shipper and every one of your customers is willing to get from you guys. It's integrity, it's speed, security, reliability, and transparency. But for that very specific market, that very specific commodity, because the world has stopped last year and still today, we are really all looking at those vaccines, and we need to make sure that those vaccines, they arrive on time and they arrive safe and they are not stolen and they are not damaged during the transport, because it's actually saving lives and saving economies. One second part of the project was to really understand how ready the industry was. So really testing the temperature. And we did that with 2 surveys with the industry, one in September and one in November. We really had an extensive survey, really understanding the readiness, the sentiment of each air cargo player regarding, their preparedness for this big challenge, and also their existing capabilities and their plans, etc. It was good success, good response rate for the 2 surveys that we ran, and it's also, I have to say, also really mainly thanks to you guys. NAP members have been very well citizen, I would say, good citizens, that you guys, you really help us getting more feedback. So in terms of results, on the left side, so where you see the 6.32, that's the result of the first survey that we ran in September. And on the right side, the 6.92, it's the result of the second survey, the follow-up, in November. What it shows, it's the preparedness sentiment. So this scale shows that, in average, the sentiment of readiness from the air cargo industry was 6.32 in September, so above the, the average 5, but it's not enough. It did improve 2 months later with companies feeling more prepared. What is interesting to see is that for the ones that scored 8, 9, or 10, so feeling really well prepared, on a scale from 1 to 10, the one that declared they are feeling well prepared, it was only 28% of them in September, compared to 46% of them in November. So it showed the tremendous value of, providing information, insights, verified information to the industry, having also collaboration, and it's really, really a good result. So we were quite pleased to also see that, to the second survey, we asked, do you feel more prepared? And it was 79% of the respondents that yes, said they felt more prepared now compared to 2 months prior. So it was a good first result. Really showing the exceptional industry collaboration and the commitment of this industry to get ready. So a commitment to get informed, to get prepared and ready for this challenge. What is interesting, so we ask several type of questions to really understand what makes a company more ready or feeling more prepared than another. And what is interesting is to note that the company is saying that they already have a team in place, a dedicated team in place for the vaccines logistics. They already collaborate with vaccine manufacturers. They have a dialogue with them. They already have collaboration in place with their supply chain partners. So, whoever you are in the supply chain, they already had good relationship and collaboration activities with their partners on that specific topic. combining, companies that have, so companies declaring that, they have the team and the collaboration in place, they felt more ready and prepared than anybody else. Another question that we asked, and we really differentiated the preparedness and the information. So they felt more informed in November than they were, 2 or 3 months prior. And their source of information is actually their partners first. And then we have the media, and it can be mainstream or cargo media or pharma media, but the media in general. What is absolutely fantastic to note is the role of mainstream media. And obviously, there is a big coverage from the mainstream media on the COVID vaccines, because it's something that is important for everyone. But it's also giving our industry an opportunity to be visible. And usually, air cargo, logistics, we are the unsung heroes, and nobody really care, or nobody really know what is behind logistics or what is really air cargo all about. This pandemic, despite all the negativity, all the bad consequences, and all the difficult times and challenges, what at least we can say is it does also shine a light on the importance of air cargo and logistics, and the importance also of the frontline workers. So at least let's also build on that positive. So it's one of the, I would say, the positive of last year. We had also, we were mentioned as Project Sunrise as one of the source of information. Obviously not the most important one, but what respondents said was it was important for them to get, first-hand information that is verified. And that was also very important. So overall, what we can say is that we saw last year, the second part of the year, we saw more and more collaboration. And this is the mission of TIACA, this is the mission of NAP. We are there to foster and strengthen collaboration within the industry. And it does work. Without collaboration, we won't be ready for this type of challenges. So in the second survey, we also asked some questions around the business and the plans of the air cargo companies regarding their pharma business for next year. And actually, 88% of the professionals expect an increase in their pharma volumes this year compared to last year. You can see it's quite substantive. Nobody said they are expecting a decrease, but also no one said they expect similar volume. They all said they were expecting a big increase. So the volume is something, and then the revenue is something else. We have 79% expecting or forecasting also an increase in their pharma revenues this year compared to last year. It's also an important information. It does help to when you forecast your revenues to grow, it does help you also to prioritize some investments, resources, trainings, etc. in this category. Lots of the comments that we saw, because we had lots of open comment box. Lots of the comments that we saw in the survey and also in the discussions with people is still even though they are looking at potential additional volumes and revenues, they are not sure it's going to be long term, because it sounds like this COVID vaccine, it's the craziness of 2021 and maybe 2022. But is it going to be the case in the future? All those efforts and investments, are they only just for a very short-term period and then it's a loss or not? And what is important to maybe highlight here is the pharma market was, in any case, the past 5-6 years, it was growing, and it's a continuous trend. So we have a peak here, but I would say this peak is also the opportunity to accelerate the transformation of the air cargo industry, for the air cargo industry to be, like a super top quality to handle all the pharmaceutical business and perishable and time and temperature sensitive markets, because this is growing. So everything that you acquire and you invest today is not lost even after the COVID vaccine era, in my opinion. So 64% of the respondents, they also said they are planning to increase their investments to sustain their pharma business this year. So it's recruiting additional people, upgrading or expanding facilities. It's securing also additional equipment. So it's the type of investment that are planned. It's it's 64% planning additional investment, and if I go back compared to 79%, so you have companies saying that yes, they do expect additional volumes, additional revenues, but not all of them expect to put additional investments. Two reasons to that. One, I just mentioned before, we have some uncertainties on the long-term return on investment. So it means that some companies, they don't want to put too much money on the business in case it's too short-term. But second, it's also, and it was highlighted in the comments as well, it's also because as this trend is not new, lots of massive investments in new facilities, in certification, in training, etc., has happened before. So before the COVID pandemic, it was already a big trend. So as part of the first survey in September, what we asked also the people to answer was, their top concerns, the areas where they can see some potential friction or issues to address. Temperature excursion, number one by far, because if we have temperature excursions, it means that the product is not safe to inject in the patient, so it's lost. So that's obviously the number one. Lack of visibility, what's happening to your shipment during transport. Lack of adequate infrastructure. What do we do if we don't have the cold chain facility to handle the shipments, the storage capacity? And we can see right now, at least in some parts of the world, we have a shortage of vaccines. So for the moment, not shortage of capacity, but the minute we will have more production, we might have this capacity shortage. Unexpected delays, what's happening in case it's blocked at the border. We have not a good collaboration, on the ground, and it does, incur additional delays. When we have vaccines that are so limited in terms of, the time they are safe in their box, in their transport box, time is really, really critical. the end-to-end connectivity, and this one is mainly an area of concern from the freight forwarders, the ones that are really looking at the end-to-end, and they realize that airport to airport is quite okay, but what's happening when you have to deliver the vaccine to a very far away last mile with poor infrastructure on the ground, poor cold chain capability, etc. Then security, and we saw that already in the news from almost day one after the approval of the Pfizer vaccine in the UK. I think it was the next day we had a cyber attack that was revealed. So security, in terms of addressing cyber threats, but also security on the ground, it's really high value and high sensitive products that need to be protected. And then costs, obviously. But everything is not, new type of challenges. It's a lot of challenges to address, but not new to the air cargo industry. And even, with not the full set of information, you can still anticipate, you can still work in collaboration with your partner to get ready and to mitigate those risks. And anticipation and risk management is really part of the DNA of the air cargo professionals. You are not the type of people in this audience that I need to explain what your job is, but all, that part of the presentation was really also for the pharmaceutical companies to understand that we know our business. You guys, you know your business. So when you identify issues, you can anticipate and you can put in place some mitigation risk. But what you guys need is to have, this dialogue with your shippers, with your partners, to make sure that what you are going to put will really address their needs and minimize the risks. So during on the first survey, we also asked, are you planning to introduce additional services, premium type of services? And it was a 49% of the respondents that said, yes, absolutely, we will. And an additional 42 that said, probably we will. We may add additional services or premium type of services. And in those additional services, it's, putting in place 24/7 dedicated team with special care service, express processes, fast lane clearance, fast clearance, etc. But also investing in additional physical or digital infrastructure, so more staff, more data loggers, more space in the facilities, more equipment, cool chain dollies, etc., and also an investment in digital cargo platforms, in track and trace and data sharing technologies. So one other question that we asked was, are you equipped? Do you guys have cool chain facilities, and at which temperature? So that question was asked in September. And in September, we didn't know really what would be all the transport requirements in terms of temperature for the vaccines. And now, after the Pfizer vaccine has been approved, we know that even a vaccine that is at itself a temperature of minus 70 degrees, the transport temperature is actually a more traditional one, between 2 to 8. So it's now we are more reassured that there is a lot of capacity and capabilities in the world to handle those vaccines. I'm not saying it applies to all parts of the globe, and certainly we have challenges in some parts of the world, and I would think about Africa, where it's going to be a big challenge, because it's going to be a big challenge to transport the vaccines in the right temperature range in a short time frame. But it's not completely linked to the capabilities or the cold chain capabilities. So what was our conclusion at that time, and which is still valid, is the air freight industry is quite well equipped to handle temperature control shipments and can handle deep frozen temperature even without deep frozen fridges. It does require, some cold chain infrastructure, the right packaging, and the importance of packaging is paramount. The standard operating procedures in place with the adequate trained staff, and also depending on the vaccine itself, stocks of dry ice and refill stations, and again standard operating procedures to handle that part. In terms of capabilities, equipment, what we found out was 64% of the air freight providers, they have already cold chain ground equipment and ULDs in place, and another 22%, they were already securing additional ones. So it's cool rooms, it's active containers, thermal blankets, thermodollies, reefer trucks, last mile delivery vans. So it's really all the range of cold chain ground equipment. So ultimately, this project, we wanted to bring more information in terms of what each vaccine is going to need in terms of logistics requirements. But we also wanted to call for industry collaboration, and we saw the difference between the responses in the first and second survey. We saw the importance of industry collaboration. We called for visibility and transparency because it's what is needed by the shippers. And when I'm saying shippers here, it's the pharmaceutical manufacturers as well as the ones that are buying the vaccines, and the patients, so the end customer, the end user. They need to make sure, they need to be sure, reassured that the product that they have is safe and secured, and it's efficient. It was not damaged during the transportation process. We were calling also for scale-up of capabilities, so physical, digital, people capabilities to take up for that new challenge, and also having in mind that, as I said, it's a long-term trend. A call for physical and cybersecurity, so focusing on having the right mindset, looking at the threats, planning to minimize the risks, so in both physical and digital worlds. We were calling, and we are still calling for the support from regulators. And for instance, we said that speed is paramount. We need to minimize the delays, especially at borders, and it does require the support from regulators to expedite customs clearance. We need to have border agencies that are really supportive of that. And we need the support from the NGOs. We talked about, and we explained in the first white paper that we published, we explained the role of COVAX, because we have an unbalanced situation with richer countries that can have access to vaccines and quite a lot of doses, and the poorer nations of the world that may not have the same access and also the same capabilities on the ground to handle. And this, you know, needs to be taken by the NGOs to make sure that this whole, you know, transport and distribution of vaccine is fair and ethical, and it does reach everyone in the planet, regardless of where you are and how rich you are. It's very important, just because it's human rights, but it's also very important for economy if we want to be very pragmatic and put the human touch aside. It's important to restart the world. We need to have everyone protected. If we are only one part of the world protected, then nobody is protected in the end, and that world will not be able to restart. So even if we were not caring for humans, which I hope all of us is, we still need to have all those countries up to speed with the vaccines, and for that we need the support of the NGOs. So what we did end of last year, and it was almost our Christmas gift to our industry and our members, white paper that we released on the 15th of December with the outcomes of the project. We had also 9 detailed fact sheets on 9 different vaccines. The goal was, and if you haven't read it, you will not get information, medical information on those vaccines, but really the information that matters in terms of logistics. So how to handle, where is it going to be produced, etc. So really more useful information for you guys in your logistics plans. We are working now to wrap up this project with Pharma.io and to issue and publish an additional paper in the form of like recommendations, some very useful tips and guidelines. Also, the first lessons learned from the already existing logistics flow on the vaccines. And lessons learned from various communities around the world, air cargo communities around the world. So we are putting that, and should be released end of this month or early February. So it's stay tuned. It's going to be very soon. And in the meantime, and it's my last slide, I hope you guys are still around. What we would like also to get from you, if you can answer this survey, it's like a 2-minute survey, just to get your views on how useful you found the outcomes of Project Sunrays for you guys. And if you would like Tiaka to continue focusing on the COVID vaccines logistics, and in what type of things you would need from us. And I think I'm done.
Thank you, Celine. That was
so
very interesting. Christos, to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Celine, for the interesting presentation. We've been together. We spent the last a few months on the Project Sunrays, and I think you will agree with me that everything had changed the last month. At the beginning, it was a kind of a panic. There were dry ice restrictions on the aircraft with a -70 with the temperature. Also, the industry was a bit panicked. And at the end, and I think we need to clarify that, there's a bit of a misunderstanding between the product temperature and the transport temperature.
Absolutely.
So basically, yeah. So all the pharma shippers that have created their own cold chain solutions and boxes. So basically, the -70 can be transported by air on 2 to 8 degrees.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so that was something that came up. At the beginning also there was a lot of movements in terms of active containers. There are not enough active containers, not enough plugs at the airports to recharge the active containers. And now we see a few months after that the majority goes on dry ice.
Yep.
And with information that we get, also Boeing and Airbus, they have already kind of limit the restriction of dry ice per aircraft. Yep. So things are getting a bit, I would say, there are some answers on all of this panic and the questions the industry had. Of course, there are a few things, more to be clarified. It doesn't mean that we know everything 100%, but it has been really an interesting journey and more to come. So thank you for that. I just to inform everybody, I have just sent a link on the Q&A where we can download the project Summer's white paper. It includes a lot of interesting information, and of course we will send it together with the NAP on Air post-summary, post-event summary. We will send all this information, including the white paper. So to continue our discussions, we have in the panel a few of our NAP members that they are involved in the vaccines. So I was thinking to start with China because of the Chinese vaccines. They're pretty much a lot of people are waiting to hear from them what is happening and what is the current state on the vaccines distribution out of China. But I would like to start with Selma from the NET group, and the reason is because they have been specialized for many years in the clinical trials of vaccines, of all kinds of vaccines, and including also the COVID-19 vaccines. So, Selma, I would like you just to give us pretty much an introduction, a short introduction of NET time critical, especially on pharma and the vaccines. And also, I would like to have your thoughts, like usually your company has been handling vaccines clinical trials, but as we all know, it takes usually 8 to 12 years to develop a vaccine. Now suddenly everything happened in months. So give us a little bit more on the clinical trials and then what you do now on the vaccines, and then we can continue with China afterwards.
Well, thank you, Christos. Hi, everybody. Well, actually, the NET as a group, we are specialized surely in freight forwarding and in e-commerce and express business. But also, it's been like 20 years, more than 20 years that we do the clinical trials movement, special biological sample movement, import and export from and to Lebanon. And then we expanded to in the critical or temperature control side to the MENA region. It means now we are in Lebanon, and we are also, our head office is in Lebanon, but we are in 16 countries in the MENA region. So actually, the vaccine transportation, it's been like more than 20 years that we are doing the same kind of shipping, like temperature control, maybe cold, maybe frozen, with the dry ice need, and all what it takes with. Now, the new things with now, with the Pfizer, specifically Pfizer vaccine, it's that we have a big load now. It's not only from time to time having, now the load is a bit, it was a bit, let's say, more than we were used to. And like you mentioned before, the airline restrictions. Like, for example, now we took the import of Pfizer vaccine in Lebanon with the government. And it seems that the government requested to have Middle East airlines to import these vaccines. And they have a restriction of 200 kilos of dry ice on the flight. So in Lebanon, which we are, like Celine mentioned, one of the poor countries, of the poorer countries here, we didn't yet till now import. We will start in 2 weeks. And Lebanon requested the first shot as 2 million vaccine into Lebanon. We'll start in 2 weeks, but we will have them in several shipments because of the restrictions. I mean, we will have like 9 boxes of vaccine in each shipment. So, and now due to the lockdown, we will have them from Brussels. So we only have 2 flights now because of the lockdown. We have a complete lockdown now in Lebanon. We have only 2 flights per week this period from Brussels to Lebanon. So we will be like shipping every once or twice every week, like 9 times 2, 18 boxes of vaccine, which in each box we will have like around 4,800 vaccine. So each shipment will be like 45,000 vaccine.
Oh, interesting. So it will take a while, I guess, for the whole population to get vaccinated.
Yes, actually in Lebanon we are like 6 million. The population is like 6 million. But Lebanon is also prepared. They ask for other from COVAX for other number. But what we know for now, this is what you have, like around 2 million vaccine of Pfizer vaccine.
Okay, excellent. And it is only from Brussels at the moment, right?
From Brussels.
At the moment, yeah. Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much, Selma. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Christos.
And now, I mean, we know we have also China is pretty strong on the vaccines, Chinese vaccines. So I would like to welcome Solomon. Solomon, you are involved in your company in the vaccines logistics, and please share with us your experience so far. Start probably with an introduction of your company in the pharma logistics and what you're doing especially for the vaccines, and if you can give us also an overview on the current state on the vaccinations in China and how is it working so far.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share with you. In yesterday's presentation, I was told the audience, in China, we have about 15 million up to yesterday. We have 15 million people vaccination already, but of course, still only 1% of population, still a long way to go. For vaccine, I mean, China going to play the quite important role. As we know now, we already have the third phase of the clinical medical tests in many countries, including Brazil. We already have, we know there is order for 10 million vaccines. For Turkey, 2 million. For Mexico, it's about 35 million. Indonesia, 3 million. Ukraine, about 2 million. Philippines, 25 million. We also have the order from Morocco, from Pakistan, Argentina, Egypt, Thailand, Peru, Iraq, Serbia, and some other countries. So I think China is going to send quite a lot of vaccine to worldwide, and it also need a lot of air transportation, expertise, special know-how to provide the logistics solutions. So as soon as we have this information, we already prepare for that. We have a special team leading by Chris, also with other members involved. We already have our own white paper for as an airline GSA, also as a freight forwarder, also for the insurance broker. So we have three different functions, but we have a white paper in place, working with the Chinese producer. Of course, mainly you all know that the Sinovac and Sinopharm. We actually, some of them we already serviced them before a long time ago. So we work with them, build up the white paper, and then we need to talk with the airline as well, because the airline, if you come to China come to China to take your vaccine, they may need a landing permit. some airline they fly to China already, some airline not yet fly to China. So for the container, if you talking about dry ice, then they need to have a MSDS DG permit. If you're talking about the active package like Ivatana, other containers, they need to have like a DG permit. Of course, and also we working with the other container provider like for the passage package, including the I package. So with all of these different content, not only with airlines, because with airlines we are working on the permits on the to provide efficiency, because as a GSA, we GSA for TAP, we GSA for Avianca, we GSA for Copa, for Azul, for quite a lot of South American airlines. So even including the Europa, the European airlines, Czech Republic Airlines. So we provide a solution for them, not only for landing permit, for DG permit, but we also working with the airlines who already have the permit to fly to China in order to cut costs. Because when the airline come all the way from Brazil, from South America, from Europe to China, why don't we use the capacity out of China who have the existing service already? So actually we're working on this kind of solution to have the first leg carrier to carry the vaccine to a certain point. Actually, now we say talking about like Finland, some other European country, and then the other airlines we represent them as a GSA to take over from there, head over from there. So this is the capacity. We also signed agreement with the different container providers, not only for the CSAF, Ivatana, but also for some other container providers who have one-time use. They don't really have to return a container, and they're suitable for the ice package. They're suitable for the dry ice. So this is the container prepare. And then we also prepare for the security, because the security in China for these vaccine is a little bit different with other general cargo. The general practice, because we have a lot of dialogue, a lot of discussion with TSA, we so-called TSA in China, but it's a security in China. The container had to be stored in the airport warehouse for 24 hours. And then they do the ETD, explosion track detection, and then they can allow to loading on the airplane. So this is the preparing, and also we working with our overseas partners, not only airline but also with the MAP, like MAP members and other members in overseas, because the vaccine, the transportation, the decision making, it's in overseas. Mainly our federal government or state government. The term of the vaccine transportation is mainly FOB SWOT. So this is the preparation we already done. We work with the Chinese Ministry of the Transportation to work out with a certain standard. So they have set up some criteria and also get the recommendation from the vaccine producers who are going to be the professional vaccine transportation from China. So luckily we are selected as one of the recommended logistics service provider by Ministry of the Transport in China as one of the designated vaccine service provider. So more than that, we feel the insurance is very important. So because we have an insurance vehicle, so our insurance vehicle already designed a very compatible, very tailor-made insurance product, insurance policy. We already do quite a lot of insurance coverage for the vaccine transportation. One of the policy we issued last week is about 120 million US dollar as a cargo value export from China to Indonesia. So this is we already put it in as a package. As a package not only for transportation but also insurance. So they provide whole solution. So we're looking forward to the coming season for vaccine transportation, hand in hand working with MAP partners, try to win the business from the federal government, state government overseas. So this is my input. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Solomon. Thank you so much. Solomon, I have a question, and it's not only me. I think a few of the members would have the same question. You mentioned before that the decision on the vaccine transportation, based on your experience, is at destination from the Ministry of Health of XYZ country, and it's FOB or exports, right?
Yes.
On the other hand, we're seeing in the news, if you see the news, DHL, official pharma provider for this pharma shipper, like Kuehne+Nagel, Schenker, you name it. So the world is a bit confused. So at the end of the day, are those 5, 6, 7, 10 pharma shippers that just appoint an in-house freight forwarder and they do all the job? Or you see also business coming up on local and independent companies like yourselves, where they are nominated by the Ministry of Health of each country. How do you see this?
Actually, yes, the decisions making in overseas, we already see there is some transportation is already done by actually it's quite the regional or the local forwarder, not a necessarily multinational company. And the vaccine producer, actually in China, very few vaccine producers here. We have just few. So they already work with some logistics service provider who know the cold trend. I mean, handling the cold trend. But they are not necessary for the international transportation. They can be the domestic transportation. They receive the cargo, they do the custom processing, they deliver the cargo to the airport. It can be combined. I mean, so if we are very eager to working for the solution door-to-door service from China to the destination, working together with our overseas partners. I think the business is going to be, of course, I mean, the regional player, the expertise, know-how with a local special know-how, criteria can have a certain criteria who can satisfy this service and can compete with the multinational as well. So this is what we feel. I mean, everybody can share a piece of business over there.
Thank you. I've seen also in a few cases where you have the pharma shipper that they will appoint the air freight forwarder up to arrival at the destination airport. And then there's a new tender by the Ministry of Health of that country that they will appoint a logistics provider for the customs clearance and the distribution. So in that case, you have two different players, right?
Right, yes.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Solomon.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Sonia, how is Thailand? What is happening in Thailand with the vaccines? Give us a bit of a brief intro of your company. I know you're pretty much involved also in the tender in the Ministry of Health for the vaccines. So if you could give us a few information, would be really appreciated. Sonia, we cannot hear you. We cannot hear you. Something with the audio. If you can check your audio. We cannot hear you. Cannot hear you, unfortunately. Maybe if you remove your camera and check your audio, maybe it will work. Unfortunately, it doesn't work. We have a technical issue here. Let's see if we can fix it later. So Salma, I would like to get, I know we are on time, pretty much we're finished, but those that can still stay, we can have also a few minutes chat more. Salma, I would like to ask you, in your case, the vaccines are given to you by the Ministry of Health in Lebanon, or it is also business that you get representing other pharma specialists around the world where you do the distribution and the handling and the final mile solutions?
Christos, this one, it was given to us by the Ministry of Health. I would like to add something on Solomon regarding the local transportation or whatever. we were also asked in other countries to do only the replenishment of dry ice, and this is an important point of the logistics of the vaccines. I mean, some big integrators like DHL and other are only shipping those vaccines and delivering them to the sites or hospital or whatever, and then they are not able to do the local replenishment. So local companies are asked to, you know that the vaccines can last like 9 days if the Credo box is closed. However, whenever it's opened, it lasts only, the vaccine can last only 5 days. So every 5 days, it should be, if it's not consumed, the vaccines inside the box, and if there's no other temperature control, so they are keeping them in the box, and each 5 days it should be replenished with dry ice. And this is a chance for the local freight forwarders or logistic companies to go there and do this job.
Okay, fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, a lot of information, excellent information. I would like to thank you all for joining that webinar. We will send you to all, of course, this will be recorded. We will send you the project sunrise, the white paper. I mean, a lot of things are changing. So I would like all to thank you again for coming into the panel. And hopefully we'll meet face-to-face soon and have some more interesting discussions with a drink. So thank you so much for attending. Miriam?
Let me say a few words too. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And I'd like to say that the next European afternoon session is with NAP and WebCargo presenting the new tool, rate management and e-booking platform. That will be at 2:30 p.m. GMT. And then at 3, it's the same session, GMT, 3 GMT, closing our presentations in our event in order to cover all time zones. It's a repetition of the NAP network update, the same program we had on day 1, live, of course, closing our event. So after that, there will be plenty of time for questions, closing. So we are there to answer everything. See you later. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Chris. Bye-bye.